Hey, and welcome to episode number 22 of the Modern Gaming Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Able Geek, and I am joined with the Brown Baymax, aka, no, I'm not going to do it this time, and Chips Gaming 98, also known as Chips, aka Potato Gaming, aka Doritos.
Doritos,
You know, I was
go!
thinking,
That is,
you know, I
that's
was thinking,
Tapatio.
Tapatio, there you go. I was thinking it would be cool, like, if you had a company and it was called, like, Potato Gaming, since I call you Chips. It just would match. But we're back, episode 22. How you guys feeling tonight, man? It's not midnight, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
For what?
Since I guess considering I am now on the day schedule, as Brown Baymax says, I'm on that AARP schedule.
The AARP schedule, man. Sometimes,
You got the old schedule. Old people schedule right there.
sometimes I'm on that schedule and I don't even want to be.
Right.
Just old and fall asleep.
Come home, but I want to sit there and play games.
Yeah. Sit there with my SpaghettiOs, like one SpaghettiO on the lip, just kind of knocking out.
Remember, you gotta go.
Oh. Can't ask for a better life than that, man. So last week, talk about last week. It was me and Baymax.
Game on Xbox.
We talked about Game On Expo. We're back. We also talked about the Mario movie, upcoming games. This time we got Senor Chippy's back with us, and we're going to be talking about an urban legend that I came across. I was looking up some stuff on the PS2 and PS3, and this one just happened to pop up, so I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. And then towards the middle and end of the episode, we'll go into some money-saving tips when buying video games as well, because this damn inflation, this video game inflation, it's
I want to
it's
throw
hurting.
in so many people's names that I want to play.
It's
This
not
is
as
dope.
bad as it's not as bad as it was, I think, 2000, 2001, where everything was just kind of skyrocketing. Everybody was stuck inside, but it's still, hasn't come down 100%. Games are still a little pricey out there.
Wait, what years did you just say?
2021 and 2020.
For some reason, I thought you said 2001 and 2002.
Well,
He
I
did.
might have said that, but it's gonna get edited.
It's gonna cut.
Hey, if we're talking about those years, and there was some. No, I was playing.
That's
But
why I
no,
said,
2020, 2021. Correction. But yeah, it's important, especially nowadays. Games are going up there, especially games nowadays. Some of the newer ones are what, $70 now is kind of the norm for games that are coming out for PS5 and Xbox Series X. So
Yeah, I just
gotta save
just
that
picked
money,
up
man.
God of War Ragnarok. And, yeah, this is $75.
Ooh, yeah, it's getting pricey out there, man. We'll get into some of that though, as far as how to cut some corners, shave off some of those prices. Does not
I
involve
mean,
stealing, robbing a liquor store.
donate your blood.
You can do that too.
There you go.
You can donate plasma, like old Abel does, for a little extra side video game money.
Yeah, right.
What was it that you said? Suck me dry last time. You put it there.
I will not confirm nor deny that I said "suck me dry."
I think there's a comment on that on Messenger. Oh
I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
that's
But
pretty
going into the urban legend, so it's an interesting one. It has to do with the PlayStation 2 and kind of into the PlayStation 3. But there was I guess you could call it a myth. I don't know if it was ever confirmed or there was any truth to it. Probably more of a marketing thing. But that Saddam Hussein For those Gen Z kids who might not know who Saddam Hussein was, a dictator in the Middle East. Hey, we got probably got some people out there that are younger have no idea, but he was a dictator. Was president of Iraq. If my history serves me correct, and it's right about 50% of the time. But he tried to buy up thousands of PS2's in order to create a supercomputer to create weapons of mass destruction. Have you guys heard of that one before? I remember briefly kind of hearing that, but I never really looked into recently. But you guys ever hear that one?
I did. Well, I mean, I think it was in the papers when I lived in New York about that, where he was trying to use PS2s for for what's it called, just his weapons, and I'm like, it was just like it was just a weird article. I don't remember if it was either the Daily News or something like that I read it. If I remember right,
Yeah.
I remember reading about it.
Yeah. How about you, Chips? You hear about that one?
It's God. I think it was about the time. I think about 2009, 2010 that I heard about that.
Yeah.
And of course, back then I was like, man, PS2 is really, really awesome. Like, but no, I haven't heard, like, I haven't gone into, like, far depth into that story.
Yeah.
I did. It was one of those, like, news articles that came up, and as I was scrolling through some, like, old school forums and such, and I was like, oh, that is interesting. All right, next. And then
Yeah, exactly.
but it does remind me of another one that, like, was actually confirmed with the U.S. military using PS3s as a supercomputer.
Yeah, yeah, to build a super. That's wild too, because I remember hearing it. And the article originally came out from looks like WorldNet Daily. That's at least the one that kind of blew up, and it was in 2000. But I probably didn't hear about it till a couple of years later, at least. And it was one of those things, kind of like how Chip said, where you kind of just kind of scrolling through stuff, you kind of read about it and you're like, oh, okay. But especially being younger, you're like, whatever. Like world politics, whatever. Just keep scrolling. Weapons of mass destruction, whatever. What else? What game's coming out next?
Right.
But yeah, so they actually did U.S. out of all countries, of course, had to be the U.S. created a supercomputer using PS3s, in which they linked. I think it was 16. I read 16 PS3s together. In order to
I think
create
it was
the
more than that after a while.
I don't know if they added to it, but I think the original they created was in a university in America. They linked 16 PS3s and became the 33rd most powerful supercomputer in the world at that time, which they had named the Condor cluster. But that's just wild to think. I mean, there's probably a significant jump in computing power, I would think, or processing power from a PS2 to PS3.
Oh yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, the PS3 had, I think, twice or three times the amount of the PS2.
Yeah, and so the thought was when this kind of rumor came out, when I think came out as kind of like a article. I'm sure some people thought it was satire, but some people kind of took it to heart that Saddam Hussein was buying up all thousands and thousands of PS2s to create a supercomputer for weapons of mass destruction. And this was, right around the time of like the Iraqi War. I think it was slightly before, like 9/11, and then which kind of led into the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. But there was still like that tension still with the Middle East, and so I'm sure there was a lot of rumors that's kind of speculated, and people probably took it to heart. But I guess rumors were taken so seriously by some that Japan actually limited countries that Sony could send their PS2s and probably the PS3s to. So some of the countries in the Middle East, obviously were on that list that couldn't get them. But and it turns out, yeah, black market. And it was thought that Saddam Hussein was buying these and it was creating shortages for the American public and, other countries as well for PS2s. Probably was more just on Sony's behalf. You look at the PS5s now, and we see a lot of those shortages. But you had mentioned Baymax that PS5s are becoming available now.
Oh, they're becoming more and more available finally.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to mention names. Why I know this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
We'll talk off camera.
so they're becoming more available. And actually today, when I went to go pick up some equipment, I stopped at the pawn shop and they had like 8 or 9 of them just sitting on the shelves.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Were the
and
prices inflated though, or were they decent?
they were 540. Well,
Oh,
one of
that's
them,
not bad. Yeah.
a couple of them were 540. Those were the disc versions, and then they had one marked at 700, and I was like, why?
That was a double disc version.
But yeah, they had an all black one for $540, and I almost made a bad choice of putting it on layaway. I mean, $65 down to put on layaway. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
want a
not bad.
PS5.
I mean,
I-
send me
I-
$65 and just make your payments online, and I'll ship it out to you.
Okay.
I do have to say the PS5 is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Brandon, it is.
Yes.
Of course,
yes, it
Brandon
is.
has one.
Of course I have one.
Of course, Brandon has one. He skipped work to go get one.
I did.
Not
That-
confirmed.
Yeah. They were doing a Best Buy thing or whatever. Like if you came in and if you were in line, they were giving you tickets out for those who were in line. If you got a ticket, you were guaranteed to get whatever system that you were wanting for whatever ticket you're wanting you had. And
Nice.
I was like, okay, so they're open at 7 and stuff like that. There's going to be people online, obviously. Fuck it. I work nights. I'm just going to get off early from work and I'm going to go sit in the line. So I came up to my boss and I was like, hey, so Best Buy's doing a thing. she comes up and it's like, oh, so you're going to get the PS5 and stuff like that? I was like, yeah. I mean, I have time, right? So it's just like, finish the project you're on right now and you can go ahead and go. So, man, I finished that project real fast.
I've never seen Brandon move so quickly.
Did my
Jeez.
project. I left, and yeah, I went out there. There was already like 40 people in line,
Oh, wow.
and I was like, "Oh crap! I'm going to be sitting here waiting for them to open. I'm not even going to get anything." So yeah, no. 7 hours later,
Oh, wow.
standing in line and stuff, and they came out. They handed us tickets and stuff. And yeah, it was. Some people wanted the disc version. Other people's wanted Xbox or the Xbox Series S. So I was the 11th person in line to grab the disc version of the PS5. So that's how I ended up
Oh,
getting
wow.
mine.
So a lot of people are going with just the digital version.
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Damn.
wild.
I think
I don't
as,
know if I could wait 7 hours in line, man. That's a lot.
I mean, I had nothing else better to do.
Other than messaging me in the freaking morning, like, hey, I'm in line. I'm like,
Hey, but yeah, there's people asking me like as I was walking out with my PS5. They're like, "Hey, you guys, you want to sell that PS5?" And I was like, "Nah, bro."
You're $1,000.
Right?
It's yours. I would probably be tempted to sell it at an inflated price, so they're willing to pay for it.
Hey, if they're willing to pay, that $1,000 for it, maybe. But
Yeah.
I got it for Genie, so it's not even my
Oh. system
system to get rid of anymore. It's Genie's.
You come back with your $1,000. Yeah, they were sold out by the time I got it.
Gene would be so angry.
She'd be so pissed.
But yeah, so just kind of wrapping up on the story, it's a crazy one to think of. Where articles came out that Saddam Hussein was going to build this weapon of mass destruction, that he was using it to build a supercomputer. In reality, the U.S. used PS3s to build a supercomputer. I don't know if it was anything in the realm of, for the military.
Yeah.
What was it
So
for military purposes?
I pulled up an article from Phys.org. December 2nd, 2010, this was posted. It says the U.S. Air Force connects 1,760 PlayStation 3s to build a supercomputer.
Jeez.
And I guess...
There you go.
Yeah, it says it's the 33rd largest supercomputer in the world at that time.
Wow.
Should we get?
They said that the equivalent components, they're talking about the Condor cluster project beginning 4 years prior, so 2006. PlayStation consoles being about $400 each. The comparable technology would have costed about $10,000. So they definitely They got the
Save
cheaper
some money.
price on that.
Yeah.
Save a lot of money on that.
That's
So,
where
I
our
mean,
backwards compatible PS3s went.
That's
that's
that's pretty much what they were.
But I wonder now, can we make another supercomputer? I mean, PS3s are super cheap now.
Still
So,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it would probably make a lot more sense just connect like PS4s or PS5s together.
but they're kind of inflated still at the moment for PS4s.
Yeah,
And I mean,
let's get
it
some.
would have to be moddable PS4 still.
That's true.
Yeah,
PS3s are a lot easier to mod to get that Linux up and running on it again. That's pretty much what they did.
Yeah.
Is they had Linux running on the systems and stuff at the time because Sony had allowed it up until
yeah.
firmware 3.55.
Didn't Sony release a version of Linux for PS3 with a hard drive?
They did that for
I thought
PS2.
I read this. Or it was PS2. Okay.
Yeah. So the PS2
Okay.
FAT had a hard drive bay in there, and they released
That's right, yeah.
a Linux version. It came with a 40 gig hard drive
Mhm.
and the network adapter that allowed you to connect it in there. Sorry.
Yeah, that's wild.
This is
As
fucking
Chopper's
trains
coming
going
on.
So Mikey's just sitting there going like, huh?
Saddam Hussein's men are coming for him. They found out about our PS2s. I don't know if that's a accurate accent, but work with me.
Close enough.
It's close enough. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. They were also thinking that the PS2s would be capable of navigating unmanned drones. So that was another thing that was kind of in there as far as the report goes from WorldNet Daily. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of topic. Just to think that that's, that people are capable of kind of daisy chaining these together to create a supercomputer. And then just the technology we're at now, 15 years later, 20 years later, it's a little scary, think what you can do with that kind of technology.
I mean, with iTunes, you can't use it with what was it?
You can't use their software to create nuclear weapons. It's in their
Oh,
terms
you
and
can't
service.
or can?
Can't.
Oh,
It's in yeah. If you go through their terms and services, it says you cannot use our software for making nuclear weapons or whatever.
it's obviously. Speaking of Apple, though, I was also reading that Sony may have gotten the idea for this whole kind of create this kind of talk that the PS2s are so powerful that they could be used for weapons of mass destruction, that might have been stolen from Apple. Because a year previous to that, Apple had come out with their G4 computers, their desktop computers, and that they were saying that those might be able to be used for weapons of mass destruction. And they even had advertisements where they're like surrounded by tanks and stuff, like a little G4 computer and then surrounded by all these tanks, like it's so dangerous. So that's another little tidbit on there.
I mean,
But
Apple computers were going to be used as for warfare as well, because they could have sent code to the battery to overexpand and explode.
Should have used Samsung for that one. You get what I'm saying?
No, I think it was our teacher in high school that we were talking about this. They were able to send code to the battery to overcharge and expand,
Yeah.
and it caused it to basically explode in your lap.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. I was like, yeah, I don't trust Apple.
That's
think
scary,
that's what
man. Imagine someone hacks into your phone and gets the battery to explode. They just ship all these Apple phones to all the Iraqis. Why did they give us these nice iPhones? Kaboom!
It's crazy. But
That's wild to think.
It's like that GTA 5 mission. The guy's like, "Oh, look at my new phone! Oh, I'm getting a phone call." And it blows up. Or whatever.
Jesus. Well, I definitely want to go into more of those urban legends for just in gaming in general. I think they're kind of interesting, so we'll probably do some more in future episodes. But we'll go and move on to the Saving the money. That's one thing I like to do.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Yeah, whether you're buying, new games, PS5, PS4, I guess still considered somewhat new, Xbox, Switch, whatever it may be, or even if you're into retro games, like a lot of us are too, there's always ways you can save some money on it. But I guess we can go into some of the newer ways, or not newer ways, but ways to save money on newer games. Is there any ways that you guys, when you're shopping out there for new games for Switch, Xbox, PS4, PS5, that you try to get good deals on? Anything that works for you in particular?
It, for me, it would really depend. If it's a new game that just came out and you just can't wait to play it, I mean, the best price you're going to do is getting it new. You can always try to wait until people post it on like reselling websites like Craigslist or like Whatnot or something like that, and try to get a used copy for cheaper if you want to go that route. Um,
Yeah.
but as far as like a brand new game off the lot, that yeah, it's just best to get it then. If you want to, if you're not so privy to wanting to play it now, the best case is kind of to wait. Um, unless it's a Nintendo property, that thing will never go on sale, so you might as well buy it now.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's a Mario game, Kirby game, you might as well just buy it and suck
buy
it
it
up
now.
because
No, because I just bought God of War Ragnarok for $75. It's getting pricey, man.
yeah,
Me
that's
Wally.
that's wild.
Yeah, and I know like I could sit there and wait for the game to be out for a few months and stuff, and then they get a price drop and stuff down to like 50 or something like that. But I mean, I want to play my game and I want to play it now.
I mean, if you would have waited a couple of weeks, you never know. It goes on sale. GameStop. That's why people get
Yeah.
so upset when a new game drops, like Call of Duty. It's going to be on sale for GameStop, guaranteed.
Yeah, for sure. Especially around this time, we're in November 2022 right now. Black Friday, probably one of the better times to buy games. If you're going to buy games, load up and just drop some money on Black Friday or even Cyber Monday. I mean, that whole week, you're going to get deals. I know
Ooh,
last year, I spent maybe like 150, 180 bucks, but I got some new titles for Switch, for example. They're doing like half price. So games that were like 50, 60 bucks, I got them for about 25, 30. Some for even like as low as 20.
like the
So
Mario
that's,
Rabbids one, right?
yeah,
The
that's the one we were talking about the other day. I got it for $15. I think it still wasn't that expensive when it first came out. I think it was around 30 or 40 ish.
It's probably about 40, I think.
Um, yeah, and I got it for 15 on Black Friday. So I mean, that's just a great deal on that one. But also, if you don't care, I mean, we're collectors. We like to have case manuals. We want it looking pretty on display and all that kind of stuff. But if you're somebody who doesn't care about the collecting aspect of it and you just want to play the game, sometimes just going for like disc only or like Switch, you're going for cart only. A lot of times you can get them cheaper that way. You can check Macari, eBay, and one thing I would always suggest on there is go ahead and see use the filters a lot. So you can use the filters to show you either stuff that's just got listed, because sometimes you can find something that just got listed on cheap, or look for the lowest price for like a buy it now and see who's selling it the cheapest, make an offer, kind of haggle with them. And a lot of times you can get them pretty cheap. Sometimes people just want money. Some people are listing on eBay. In some cases, because it's their business, they have a consistent flow of product coming in. Some people is like, I just got to get rid of these 5 games because I got to buy groceries for the week. So in those cases, they might be willing to let go of some of the games, $5, $10 cheaper just to get them out and make that money. So never hurts to ask or haggle a little bit.
it's true.
One of the other things I'd say is pay attention to is digital sales. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we are collectors and stuff. We like to have it actually physically in our hands and whatnot. But if you're just there to play the game and whatnot, you can, especially during the holidays with new games coming out. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sale coming out for like Black Friday or even for like Christmas or even New Year's. With them being
Yeah.
so close to each other, digital is a good way to get a game for cheap too. Sometimes
Yeah.
they can even do like half off or something like that, which is ridiculous for like a brand new game.
Yeah. You say digital, and we're like,
I know. It's like,
no, but you're definitely right, though. Yeah, digital, and compare the prices too. If you have like a PC, an Xbox, a PS4, see who has it cheaper. Check Steam, check the PSN store, check Xbox, Nintendo store, all that. See where you're going to get the best deal, and just buy accordingly. But yeah, digital a lot of times. I wish digital games were a lot cheaper. Sometimes they can be, but sometimes you're kind of right there neck and neck with a physical copy, which I don't like because if you're not getting the physical product, I feel like you should be saving a little bit more money. But it's just one of those things you got to kind of look out for. I always found it weird, like on GameStop's website. I feel like it's one of the most inconsistent websites I've ever seen. Baymax knows what I'm talking about. But I will find digital copies on there that are more expensive than the physical copy, or not copies, but a digital version of a game that's more expensive than the physical. And I'm like, why? Why is it more expensive?
Because GameStop puts it on sale, they get the AOK.
Yeah.
But if they have, like, let's say, an overabundance of the game that they can't get rid of, yeah, they're gonna put it on sale, and it's gonna be cheaper than the digital.
Clear storage space, basically.
Yeah.
From my understanding, though, for digital versus physical copies and stuff, with physical copy being cheaper at times, it's the money that the sale that is made on a digital copy through a vendor like GameStop or something like that, they don't make as much money as they would on a physical copy. And with a vendor like GameStop, if it's a used copy, they're making 100% of the sale. They bought it already used. They're not going to send money to Nintendo or Sony or anything like that because it's already been in the circuit or whatever. So once it's back into their hands being used, they're making 100% of the money back from them.
So with like he was saying with GameStop, once it's used and they trade it in towards them, that's 100%. That's why GameStop pushes a lot on used. So with new, they only get pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. I've talked to several video game store owners this past year, and a lot of them tell me when they get inventory in, like especially like the new games, that the game's $60 retail, and they might get it wholesale like at $52, $53. So they're not making a ton on it. But used games, if somebody brings in a whole bunch of PS2 games, to make weapons of mass destruction. They bring in a stack of like older games, you can kind of determine, okay, I'll give you this much for them. And then, okay, this is going to be my profit margin now on these. So, they can kind of make a little bit more money on those sometimes. What's that face, Baymax? What are
No, sorry. I was talking to my mother. That's no, Mom. No. No.
But yeah, and then so I mean that's some of the things you can do for newer games. Also, one thing I'll say that I just subscribed to, and I just found out it still existed. Me and Baymax were laughing about this. Is GameFly, because I want to do more reviews for the the games here, and I can't go out and buy every single new game that's coming out, obviously, because I don't have the budget for that. But I'll get new games here and there. But I was figuring, okay, how can I get newer games in right away and play them, and not necessarily have to keep them, but just to review them. And then so I looked up, renting games. There's no more Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, obviously, so that's out the window.
Hollywood Video.
All right, Blockbuster 2. That's gonna be the name.
The sequel.
Blockbuster Returns. Gets sued. No, so I was looking that up, like how can you rent games? That's still a possibility, and GameFly comes out, and I was like, wow, GameFly still exists? Because I remember subscribing to that like 20 years ago, it was wild. I think it was started off maybe with DVDs, and then started doing games, or they started doing games, added DVDs, something like that to it. But yeah, so I subscribed to it. They have a free month trial. I'll probably put a link for it in the show description. You guys want to check it out, but basically, yeah, just rent a game. They send it to you. I just rented one yesterday. They already shipped it out today, and then I should get it probably like in a day or two.
I was about to say Monday.
Probably Monday. Yeah, today's Saturday. I rented it Friday, shipped out Saturday. I'll probably get it Monday or maybe Tuesday at the latest. Play it for however long you want and prepaid mailer, ship it back, and then you have a queue. So as soon as you ship it back, they send you the other game in the queue. So I'm like, hey, that's and I think the normal price on it is something like I think it was like $9 for the first few months, and then it goes up to 15. But
Hmm.
month free trial. So that's it's an interesting way if you just kind of have a small budget and you just want to play the games, but not necessarily build up a collection. That's another good way to
This,
do it as well.
you mentioned GameFly being like a subscription services and stuff like that. So like you should
Hmm.
probably look into Sony's PlayStation Plus or whatever. I
Hmm.
know they have different tiers for certain games and stuff like that. And the one that I do personally is Xbox Ultimate Game Pass, and
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
that allows me to play my games on my Xbox, my whether it be my Xbox was it Xbox One or Xbox Series X, or even my PC.
Yeah.
Is Sonic Frontiers on Ultimate Game Pass?
I have no clue.
If it's on there, you're gonna kick
There you go.
yourself.
Yeah, you could play it. We could review it maybe next episode. But that's a great point. Yeah, I completely forgot about the Game Pass from Microsoft. That's I had that also for a little bit, and that's a great way to play games. And if you have a PC or
It's,
Xbox, you can just download them, play them, and
yeah,
you
it's
know,
$15 a month and whatnot, and you get a crap ton of games. And like I said, you can play some of them on PC, a lot of them on the Xbox console and whatnot. Figured Gears 5 when that first came
mhm.
out, that was on. It was day one when that first got released. It was day one on Xbox Game Pass. I have yet to even pay for that game, and I'm still playing it to this day.
Yeah,
Good old Game Pass.
good old Game Pass, man. And also, yeah, the PlayStation Plus. I used to have that back in the day, and they. I think that allows you to also play games online, right? Is that the same one you need to play games online? And then they also offer you, I think, like a free game or two every month that you can download.
So with
I think they stopped that.
I think they still give you the Xbox games and whatnot. They add it to your library and then you can download it. Even if you don't have the pass, you can still download it and play it.
Hmm.
But they, as far as online and stuff, yeah, you can still play online. Depending on, I think it's depending on what tier you get, because I think there's just the Xbox multiplayer stuff you can get for like $10,
Yeah.
and then you can upgrade for the gaming service for 15. Um, but yeah, you can. But on PC, you can play for free. So like even
Yeah.
if you download the game and whatnot, you're still playing on like Xbox or whatever. You play your multiplayer games for free. So like with me playing Gears 5 and whatnot, I mostly play on my PC. I don't technically need the pass if I buy the game. I can play online and I can play against other people on Xbox and stuff because it's cross-platform.
Yeah, there you go.
For free.
A lot of digital options. So if you're just looking to play the game, definitely one of the ones to consider. If you want to buy the game physically, just reference what we talked about 10 minutes ago.
I mean,
For retro, go ahead.
I was about to say, or you could try pawn shops as well.
Pawn
For
shops, yeah.
people, I don't know what's wrong with them. They'll buy a brand new game from Best Buy and from let's say like God of War, because I saw God of War already at the pawn shop.
Yeah.
And that game just released a couple nights ago.
Hmm.
And is already up for sale at a pawn shop. I'm like, what? I mean, they have it
It's
marked at 60, but that's stupid.
They're all just
sometimes the
stolen
pawn
games.
shops too. Right. This is the pawn shops. It depends. Pawn shops in my area have not been that great lately, but I know in the past I've been able to score some really good deals. I think I might have talked about it in a previous episode where I got Mega Man Legends 2 CIB for $2 because they didn't know what they had. The case was cracked, like to all hell. I had to replace the case. But the guy looked at it. He's like, "Oh, I'll do $2 on it." Probably thinking it's an old game. It's all junky. But the manual disc, everything was, perfect. So that was the score of a lifetime right there. But
Off of it.
it just shows you that sometimes the pawn shops they don't know what they have. They don't really check the prices a lot. It depends on the pawn shop. I've seen some where they will definitely go and see what this is running like on eBay, and kind of go on the high end to make a big profit off it. And I've seen some where they're just like, whatever, mark them all at $3 and get them out of here.
That's how Genie got Drakengard 2. We were just browsing
Yeah.
at random pawn shops and thrift stores and whatnot throughout the city, and we come across one, and we're all looking at stuff like that. And she spots it and goes, picks it up, $10, and she's just like, it's all complete and everything. It's got everything in with it. I think it didn't have the disc in there, but they took the discs out and stored them behind the counter or whatever. And she's just like, for like
What
10,
game was
15
it
bucks.
again?
Drakengard 2.
Cody just sold that game yesterday.
And you figure, I'm looking at price charting for prices and stuff like that. And it's sitting at $88.16 for complete box. And I think at the time it was about $50. But yeah, when she saw it, she was like, "Oh, So you can definitely still find deals there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Goodwill's, thrift stores as well. I don't see a whole lot of newer games. Like I don't think I ever see Switch games or rarely PS4 games at thrift stores. A lot of times I'll see more of like PS2, PS3, 360. Goodwill's, unfortunately, I feel like they're kind of catching on to the whole reseller thing for video games. So I used to find some real bangers at Goodwill, man, like Mario Kart on GameCube and stuff like that for $5. Now they're kind of listing like everything at my pawn shop here, or my pawn shop, my Goodwill that's close to me. All the games are like $6.99 or $7.99, even if they're like $3 titles, $5 titles. So, and I feel like they kind of go through them now because I never see any like high valued items anymore. They're always like $5, $8 games at best. So, but that I mean can also lead into retro games. Because I wanted to talk about getting retro games at a good deal. So we could start right there off with Goodwill. Goodwill, other thrift stores. If you're lucky, you can still find some decent deals there. But like I said, they're kind of they know what's up now.
Slim Pickens.
Somebody ratted resellers out, and they know what they're doing now for the most part. So it's always good to check once in a while. But I feel like Goodwill is kind of a dying source in ways.
I blame you, Abel. That's why the prices are
Might have
high
been
up
me.
there.
I emailed Goodwill Corporate. You know what's going on.
So he goes and makes the purchase. He's like, "Oh man, I'm glad I bought this for $3. It's a $300 game. Thank you," and then walks out. He does it every time. No.
They saw my Twitter. I'm like, thanks, suckers.
Right.
Tag Goodwill in it. Goodwill's like, wait a minute.
What in tarnation?
But yeah, I mean, the good thing about retro games is you can still find these like at pawn shops, like we mentioned. People just trying to get rid of their collections. Garage sales as well. Got to hit the garage sales early because if you think you're going to go and late, there's definitely resellers out there that are looking to just buy up everything to resell it on eBay, Mercari, whatnot. So you want to hit the yard sales early and ask for games too. That's one thing I've noticed. If they don't really have that many games out, ask them if they have any more they want to sell. And sometimes they might have some stuff in the garage or kid's bedroom that maybe went out to college or something, left his games there. They don't mind selling them. You take advantage of those opportunities. You can sometimes get them kind of cheap.
My grandson left this. And it brings out a whole stack of Super Nintendo rare games.
There you
I
go.
would scream. I would scream.
I was telling Baymax yesterday that I was watching the seller and whatnot, and they had a Super Nintendo box. It was called Fire Sale. He takes it out. He's like, we have a fire sale going on. All the carts came from a house that caught fire, and they were all charred. Some good titles, though. I mean, they had the Mega Mans. They had a Chrono Trigger. And you could kind of make out the label, but they were so dark and burnt. I was just like, doing 30% off. I would have considered maybe 60% off, but
Yeah, because you figure
just
when you're collecting and stuff like that, you want to make sure that the game is being nice. And when you're paying these prices these insane prices that retro gaming has been marked up to, if you're wanting to get the game just to play it, there's so many better ways to get a hold of it without actually paying that type of price. There's official ways to do it, with like backwards compatibility and stuff like that through like with Nintendo and what they're doing with their services and stuff. And then of course there's the non-shady way and whatnot, or the shady way of doing it. Which,
Emulation.
Emulation. You're gonna have to put the lightning coming in. Emulation. Gets dark. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, emulation. If you kind of want to just play the game, I won't go into where to get ROMs or emulators, but I'm sure a quick Google search will give you a little more information on that if you want to go
What's
that route.
Google?
And of course, anything from like Atari, Nintendo, going up to like
okay. Pretty much anything up
N64
until
maybe.
No, you got even there's emulators up here for PS4 now.
Oh, really?
It's
that runs smoothly though, or
there's 28 commercial playable games that are running on that emulator, and then you got like I said with the like 360 and PS3, there's emulators out there that can play a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like I'd say anything from like even Xbox, like Xbox Original, is still kind of on its emulation and whatnot. Nintendo side pretty much. Nintendo is pretty much like everything has been emulated thus far. Like even the Nintendo Switch, you can emulate games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's PlayStation 2 up to in Sony's timeline of consoles up to the PlayStation 2. For Xbox or Microsoft, it's up to about the Xbox where you can get a decent experience playing games. Xbox original, technically, because so many different versions of Xbox.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo, like I said, up until my Switch, so you could play.
And then with some of the older game files are so small nowadays compared to like the how cheap storage is, that I mean you could mod like an Xbox or a Wii. There are thousands of Nintendo, Super Nintendo games on there, PlayStation games, whatever, and just have at it. N64, yeah, I've had it's been 50-50 with me for N64. Some titles run great, some are kind of choppy and laggy, but you'll have to experiment for yourself. But yeah, I mean that's if you want to go that route. If you want to get the physical copies. Well, I'll just say also, just to kind of piggyback on what Chip said, Nintendo services, their online services. PlayStation also has a lot of retro stuff you can go and get on the PSN store. I'm sure Xbox. I don't play a lot of Xbox, but I'm sure they probably have the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to get the physical copies, again, eBay, Mercari, try to find the best deals. Get snipe deals. Take some patience sometimes. You want to get a good deal. Kind of keep an eye on what's being sold, and you got to know how to use the filters. I'll probably make a video on doing like different filters and different ways to search on those, because there's certain ways that I've been able to find great games as well. And,
you amaze me on finding games. I look it up and I'm like, I don't see what he's looking at, but it's right here. I'm like,
yeah, there's a little bit of a algorithm to it, but
there's some tips and tricks and stuff like that, like searching for games and such. But as far as like cheaper games, networking is a really great way, especially for retro games. I went to go and sell. I sold a bunch of like just game, like either duplicate games that we had or just games we didn't care about having anymore. And but they're all like the cheaper games, so they take forever to even move out. So we had a guy come down from Denver recently and took all of those, and he gave us his card and stuff. If anytime we want to sell back to him stuff, that we contacted him. And I was talking to him about the Laser Active, which is a system I recently got, and it's they play laser discs, which is like a DVD, but like the size of a vinyl. So they're really huge. And he talked about how he found a lot of the laser disc movies and stuff, but there was games mixed in with it, because there is laser disc games. And I told him, I was like, hey man, if you ever come across it and stuff like that, here's my number and stuff, let me know, and we'll work something out. So making those types of connections and stuff like that can definitely help. They'll either go out and say, hey, look, this guy's got a thing over here, let me put you in contact, or hey, are you interested in this thing? I'm like right here, do you want to purchase it and stuff? I'll send money over their way or something like that. So So networking is
Yeah.
definitely another way to get some of these retro games and stuff like that, especially the harder to find ones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely network. Find people who sell games, who are collectors. Get in discords. There's discords specifically for buying and trading, selling. So you can find those and haggle with people and get some good deals. Um, and also sites like we've jumped in. I've probably jumped in a little too much with whatnot. Spent probably a little too much money, but you can definitely get some good deals on there too. Um, just another source as well. I think there's one now called Drip as well that kind of does the same thing. I haven't jumped on it personally, but I've heard of that one. Um, but yeah, I mean those probably the best sources I can think of for retro gaming. Fortunately, you can't go and just buy them, at a Best Buy or Walmart anymore, or Kmart, Rip Kmart, KB
Sears.
Toys, Sears. There you go. I remember my aunt buying me Star Fox 64 from Sears with the Rumble Pack and everything. Oh man, memories of those stores. So many good ones I got from Kmart, Sears, and KB Toys.
I think I have a
Funko
KB
Land.
Toys. I think I still have an original receipt for KB Toys.
That's wild, dude. Should keep that, frame it.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean that's the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy the urban legends. Hope you guys enjoyed the money saving tips. 'Cause I do like to save some money, and I hope you guys do as well. But going to wrap up this show, Baymax, the Brown Baymax. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram as brownbaymax.tv, Twitter, brownbaymax_TV, and maybe Twitch, because it's been a moment that I streamed, would be Brown Baymax. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
The Brown Baymax. And Chips, where can people find you online?
If I ever go online, it'd be Chips Gaming 98 on either Instagram or Twitch. It's the same user for both.
There you go. And then mine, you can always find me at the Able Geek. Usually most active on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow the podcast at Modern Gaming Pod on Twitter, Modern Gaming Weekly Podcast on Instagram, and also check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Modern Gaming Weekly, where we post some of the outtakes, behind the scenes stuff. And I think me and Baymax were talking about doing like a kind of like a mini episode, right? And like just kind of shoot the shit for like 15, 20 minutes and throw it on there. So
Yeah.
probably be doing some of those soon as well. But yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you later.
Save
Bye.
that money.
Bad.